Jivan, are we expecting Krishna Priya on as well?
No, she's not well, and she'll not be able to attend today's call. So I guess we can start the meeting.
Okay. Well, go ahead. You can drive the bus.
Okay. So first of all, before getting into discussion, I guess the doubts that we had regarding the present website uh, is clear, like the UB Sports old website,
Uh-huh.
because our team they were diagnosing the error, and they almost spent like 2 days on it. So from what I understand is now because if like John has also verified like there's kind of error that we cannot fix from our end. Am I right, John?
Well, I mean, I can't confirm that. I think we need Greg's input to make a decision on what we're going to do. Greg, I think if the issue, I'm not sure what Benu found in the Ruby logs, but it seemed to indicate that there's something with SendGrid during the sign up process. And, you know, I did a quick review of the SendGrid site, and two things. Benu, you said you thought it had to do with the two-factor authentication, which should only be happening if you're using login credentials to send a mail, which is not how the site should be sending mail. It should be using an API key. So either we're using an older process that's now deprecated and would have to be reprogrammed, or there's another kind of issue with SendGrid. The other thing is, as I look through some of the SendGrid information regarding the API keys, we don't have any API keys created, which tells me that that's not the mechanism we're using to communicate with SendGrid to send mail, which again lends itself to us using an older deprecated process, or possibly even now an obsolete process that may have been recently turned off. And in researching that, one of the things that I found in SendGrid is that their libraries, it says that it requires Ruby version 2.2 or higher. And we're using, our site is using Ruby 1.8. So it's conceivable that there was some backwards compatibility for older versions, and perhaps SendGrid had changed that and dropped support. So Greg, ultimately it appears as though whatever we're, if the problem with the sign up error is related to SendGrid, it looks like you're talking about completely rewriting any of the functionality in the site, not just the sign up, but any of the functionality that sends mail.
Exactly.
John, not waste of time.
John, one thing I noticed is that they were not handling the errors. So while sending an email through SendGrid, suppose you are getting an error, what the API does is it's completely failing. Instead of catching the error and sending an error response, it is completely failing to a 500 error. They were not using a try-catch block.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. So.
All right, so I'm going to have a conversation.
500 error. Actually, you were getting a database success error response, and the user is getting registered. But the only issue was that you are not getting the email. So the line that sends the email using the SendGrid is failing.
I mean, I tried to go through the sign up process, and when I get the email, I can't even log in after that with that email address.
And you can't find that as a user, which means that it's not getting that process.
Sure. You know, you say that it is getting saved in the database and it is registering the user.
No, it's not.
I'm skeptical that that's true.
No, it's not at all. I had a friend try to sign on, and he went through that process. He got the 500 error, and his name didn't show up as a user. So it's not getting past that.
maybe it is not getting saved because of that error, and it may be rolling back from the Ruby itself. Maybe
Yeah, I think it's also set up the way
Yeah.
we are, that we have to have the email verified before the person becomes a user. So
Okay.
that makes sense.
Yeah, but what's happening, Greg, is it may be saving it to the database. And when there's an error in sending the email, it may actually remove it from the database.
Yeah.
Some kind of
roll
a
it back.
transaction is happening. Rollback, exactly.
Yeah, so that's totally conceivable. What would be interesting, Greg, is if you tried to perform some other function on the site to see if there's other mail functionality that's failing as well.
All right. Well, there's also bulletins that get sent out, and they get sent. I haven't seen anything get sent out to me, which I should be getting stuff for about 2 months. So there's a
Yeah,
problem.
and I looked at the SendGrid activity log, and it doesn't even look like messages have been. I mean, we're using a free account, so we only get so much history, like 3 days of history, and there's like absolutely no emails coming through the site. I'm not sure if that's normal because we don't have a lot of activity on the site, or if that's unusual.
Oh, that's unusual. Number one. Number two, I saw a longer timeline, and that timeline showed a lot of activity, like on December 23rd or something like that. That's the last time I saw anything really happening on the site. So, yeah, I agree.
I mean, it's possible to send, if we're using stuff that's relatively old, it's possible that SendGrid has disabled and rendered obsolete some older functionality. I would think that you would have received some emails communicating those kind of upcoming changes at some point, et cetera. So, but anyway, I think regardless of that, the question is, Greg, what do you want to do at this point? Because I think fixing it, depending how the mail functionality is programmed in the site, which would require some analysis and discovery. The question is, do you go back and rebuild all of those modules that send mail
You know my
to
answer.
support the new function? Huh?
You know my answers. Just go forward. Let's forget about the
Yeah.
past. Absolutely. We're
Yeah,
not
so,
doing
I
this
mean,
one right now.
At that point, what that leaves you is the current site. You're not going to be able to have people sign up and test it or whatever.
Right.
There is potentially a way that you could quickly work around it, but I don't think that this is a valid option. And that is, to Banu's point, is you can look for wherever mail is being sent, and you can trap that error and kind of ignore it. But then the functionality is lost. Like when you sign up, you don't get whatever that email is. Maybe that's okay on a sign up. But if you're sending an invite to someone or a friend request to someone or something like that, you're not going to get those emails.
The current
So
server.
I don't know that.
Yeah, the current server farm, where we have it right now, we have something like 20 hours of help from them. So I'm going to see if they can look into it.
They're not going to reprogram stuff.
I don't think
They
so
may
either. But
support you
yeah,
from a systems level and see if there's system issues or something and help in that regard, but they're not going to dive into your code.
no, they're not going to
and
try
go
to reprogram.
reprogram.
Agreed. So I'm gonna just try to see if they can have an answer, and we're in 2 months they become history anyway, so I'm not worried about it. All right, so we'll just right now, let's go forward. I don't think we really can. What do you think, John? Do you think we should spend any more time and effort doing it, or what's your feeling?
Well, you seem to give the impression that it needs to be working so that you can get people to sign up now and use it. That's problematic, potentially, if you feel that it's that critical. I don't think it's worth putting time in because, you're looking at a set of code that, number one, is so old. You can't really replicate, like if Banu and his team were going to look at it and even attempt to modify the code, we probably would have a very hard time creating a test environment with those versions. So I don't know that we would even be able to really effectively address the programming aspect of it. Remember that when you log into the server, it tells you that there's 300 updates that are pending.
Yeah, do one of those.
250 that are security updates.
Yeah.
There's so many things that are behind on this application and this site that it doesn't make sense to even attempt to try to replicate that environment. So given that the site is broken, you can make changes to the code in the production environment and test it because it's already broken. You can't, you're not going to make it. So that's a possibility, but it doesn't seem like there's value in doing that. But that's your call, Greg, whether there's value there. Now, if Banu and his team and Milland and his team need to get access to the site and they need to sign up so that they can sign in and see how things work and what they look like, that's potentially a problem. But I would imagine that in the worst case scenario, you could manually access the database and create a user account.
Or use one of
So
our
that you
accounts.
could-
I'll give them, I have my account, my two kids' accounts, That's no big deal.
Yeah, so, I don't think that we really have an issue in that regard. I don't think it's a showstopper from us,
Sure.
looking at the site to see what it looks like or how things are set up or how it functions. And I don't think it's valuable to put time and resources anymore that we already have into the old application.
Totally agree.
It just doesn't
Agreed.
make sense.
That's fine. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, especially if it's slowing us down by 2 days, that's crazy. I'd rather just move forward.
Yeah, and the one thing kind of on a tangent from that related to SendGrid is when I signed in, it does say that we're on the free account, which does have certain limits on how many messages. So Greg, you should really look at paying for a full version of that service
Of course.
before the launch of the site.
Well, I'll do it immediately because they have to use that if they're going to be, setting it up. They have to get that all set up. So I'll worry about that today.
And then as far as the SendGrid site, as for the new builds, obviously we have to create an API key and provide that to you guys so that you can use an API key to send the mail.
Okay.
I just need to kind of think through whether we use one API key or if we have multiple API keys, one for the web, and a different one for the mobile app, a different one for trainer apps, that kind of thing. So I'll have to kind of think about how to create those API keys, then provide them to you so you guys have that for your development.
Okay.
Yeah, we are nearing the second or the third milestone. So we might have things to put on the staging server. John, have you shared those details, those credentials with us for setting up the new environment in the new
Yes,
AWS account?
I did. I sent the credentials to pretty much all of our accounts, the old servers, as well as the credentials for the new AWS environment. I created both an IAM user account for you guys, and I also created a programmatic account that you can use within the code. they're currently set up with, they're not set up as owner accounts or with full permissions, but I did give them system admin, database admin, and network admin permissions, which will allow you to set up new EC2 instances, set up load balancing, set up S3 buckets, that type of thing, set up a database. So you should be able to create whatever environment that you need. If there's some other specific policy permissions that you need, if you find that you need to set something up or do something and you can't do it because you're restricted, you just need to let me know that and we'll update those permissions. At this point in time, I don't have any specific security groups set up. And I don't have an issue at this time granting you whatever permissions you need to do the work that you need to do at this point. Further down the road, the plan would be to set up specific security groups for access to the database, for access to EC2, for access to S3, that kind of thing. So at some point, your accounts will be modified with the very specific permissions that you need to continue to support the application, support the environment. But I don't want to get into a point where we're battling over permissions right now. So I don't have a problem adding whatever permissions you feel you need if you find that you're restricted from something. So if you do encounter that, just let me know and I'll update whatever permissions you need on your existing accounts.
Yeah, for the immediate need, we are looking at setting up the staging environment. So there will be a separate staging database and a front end server, which we envision to be identical to the production version. And we'll start deploying our code on the staging server for you guys to review. And then for the larger architecture, for the production architecture, we'll sit with our system administrator and come up with the architecture, review it with you, and then start getting that ready whenever we are ready for production. So my idea is that we keep several servers and just convert one of the roles as a staging server, so that there'll be less differences between staging and production. I would want staging to be an exact replica of production.
Of course.
So yeah, so so we can consider this as the first instance of production, which we call staging, and which we will not use for production, obviously. So that should be ready by.
A couple of weeks ago, I had asked if you guys had like an architecture diagram for your proposed architecture for the new system, but I haven't seen anything. I haven't asked for it again or anything. Do you have something that you can send me for review?
I don't think we have it handy. I need to check with Binu on that. Binu, do we have an architecture, a high-level architecture diagram with us?
We had an architecture diagram while we were designing the SRS, but I think depending on the current requirement, we may have to update it based on the inputs from Ginil and his team.
Okay, so John, we'll update that and get it to you before our next meeting so that we can review that. And also by next meeting, we should.
It would be ideal if I could get that at least by like Tuesday to give me a
I
chance to
think
look through
we
it.
can
So I
send
can
it
pose
by
questions.
Friday evening. So John will have the weekend time for review.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Are you gonna put it up on Slack?
Yeah,
Yes, yeah,
sure.
we'll put it on. So by Wednesday, or next Friday, not the coming Friday, but next Friday, we should be able to test the app on a staging URL that you can maybe start sharing with your internal team, not external, not friends or family, but your own team,
That's great. Thanks.
to just review and provide feedback. So all the pages that we have not worked on, we will just put a coming soon uh, picture over there, and the rest of them you could test and give
So
your feedback.
is SendGrid a service you're comfortable with and that you would suggest using for that stuff, the messaging and all that? And what other outside
SendGrid
services
is
do we need?
SendGrid is the de facto mailing
Right.
plugin that people use. Binu, do you have any other recommendation?
SendGrid or Mailgun will work for us. For our some of other clients, we have used Mailgun.
Okay.
But SendGrid is also okay because we can work with the same code itself. Just changing the APIs, keys, and all, it will work.
Yes.
Okay. And any other services do you know of that we have to get for your, for what you're doing?
We'll need an SMS gateway, right? Binu?
Not in the first phase.
Okay.
When you get in the next phase.
Any other
John,
third party?
we may require a Google Analytics account.
Oh, yeah.
I can follow up and set up the Google Analytics IDs. Remember, we had discussed that Google Analytics ID will be set up as a configurable parameter.
Yes,
That those
we
IDs will be
are
different.
having a configuration page in admin itself, so you can dynamically modify it.
Make sure that you guys are staying in
then
touch with each other for what stuff we want to follow on analytics.
Yeah, Greg, I'll have to loop back with you on Google Analytics to get the account credentials so I can set up different account IDs and get them established.
You want to start fresh, like with a fresh Google Analytics account?
Yeah, we're not going to use the existing one. I mean, it's not a new account. We just need to set up a new domain,
right,
with a new ID. I can do all that if I get those credentials from you.
Is there anything you need from GoDaddy?
No, not right now. But Ajish, one of the things I want to do is once the staging environment is set up and we have a server there, whether it's one server or multiple servers behind a load balance or whatever, ultimately, I'd like to set up a friendly domain like stage.ubsports.com.
Yeah, I was
for
just
access.
about. Sure.
So
Yeah.
once we know what either the IP address is or the CNAME is for that host, if you let me know that, I'll set up the DNS entries for that. So
Do you
that,
have the credentials?
and that doesn't have to be.
Do you have the credentials for GoDaddy? I can send them
what?
to you.
Yeah, I have them.
Okay.
We don't necessarily need that by next Friday when you have the staging environment set up, but I will want to do that because as we review staging, nobody wants to bookmark or try to remember a long convoluted AWS URL that doesn't make
Right.
sense.
Right. So I would prefer to get started with a friendly URL itself. I mean, you can actually go ahead and set up the name Um, the for staging, we are not going to use a load balancer. Uh, we don't want to spend money on just for using replicating an architecture, right? So we'll use a single server for both the database as well as the web server and the application server. And so we'll identify the server. We'll create the server, let you know the IP address or the host name, and then you can do the mapping before Friday itself.
Okay.
Yeah. So Milind or Binu, do we have something to show the team today? I'm guessing no, because we are nearing the end of the third milestone, right? Are things in a demoable condition, or shall we wait till coming Wednesday?
Yeah, I think it's better to wait for next Monday. I have some things to show, but it's not actually complete. So uh, if they insist, I can show some of the profile sections and friends list, all those stuff. But otherwise, we can wait for next Wednesday and have a conversation on athletic and fitness trainer app, whatever preferable. It's up to
Yeah,
you.
Milind, yeah, only if you're confident of showing something, you can show, or we'll wait for a full show by Wednesday.
Yeah, I think by Wednesday would be better. I know that Greg and some of the marketing people have been working on the profile data for like the recruiting data that we need and stuff. So it might not make sense to really go through it now if it's not something you guys feel is ready to show or complete.
Yeah, there's been a lot of discussion. John, you missed the call we had a couple days ago about how we're going to set up the roles and tools. And we're still working on clarifying that. So by next week, we'll have, well, during the next few days, we'll have something for you, Ajish. So you can see how we are planning on setting up the roles. Also, we got, we've been talking to somebody who builds logos, and they came up with a bunch of different colorways and styles that obviously we're gonna have to put those on the site to replace the logo that's up there now. I can show that to you now if you want to see it.
Yeah, we'd like to see that now, because if there's a change in color, then
No,
we'll have to go back and
it's just change the logo. I'll show you that. Hold on.
Sure.
There might be color changes too.
Yeah, there might be, but that's up to you guys. Okay, so I'm assuming you see the 5 colorways?
Sure.
Okay, so the one we're looking at that we'll probably end up using is this one here. And this one,
Okay.
and this one here looks like the most likely logo for the site. And I think we're clarifying right now the colors to make sure they're specifically what we want, and the gold in the back. But we're just, small details that we'll send you the final vectors when we're all done. This is the icon that we're going to be using, either blue or red. You can see there's a little challenge with the getting everything aligned, but we're working on that. And this is the like the front of the shirt badge that we're going to be using.
That looks cool.
So yeah, there were challenges with the other ones, but like this blue and blue was the second choice of everybody. But it looked like the navy and the maroon was the most powerful of the bunch.
Exactly.
So what do you think? You guys like it?
Yeah,
Hey,
sure.
yeah, I like the shirt logo. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, me too.
Uh,
But anyone who plays football or, they like that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I certainly
So
like it.
Bino is, I guess there's a significant color change. Will there be too much additional effort to change the current color scheme?
Ajish, I don't think there will be a big effort because we were using some CSS styles. We
Right.
just have to switch on, and switch off the styles to match the
Excellent.
colors.
Okay, that's great news.
So,
I will-
yeah, as soon as we clarify the exact colors, the Pantone colors and Get Vector logos, we'll send them right over to you.
Sure. So I don't have anything more on my agenda unless Binu or Milind, if you have any questions, or Jibin.
Okay, I have some doubt, like some of the questions that Milind actually, mentioned in the Slack group. So John said that he'll get back, or we can discuss those questions here in this call. So, Milind, what do you think?
Yeah, most of the questions regarding the training functionality, Greg is going to have to address. Did you see those questions, Greg, that were posted in Slack regarding the trainer apps?
No, I didn't. Where are they?
They're in the dev channel on Slack.
Okay. Okay, I'll look at them and get back to you guys.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that was from you,
Yeah,
Mike,
Greg,
right?
Greg, if you need to discuss any of them with me, just hit me up and we can jump online and discuss them. But most of them, at least the initial answers to those questions, you're going to have to address as far as where some of the functionality goes.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, so go through that as soon as you can for these guys,
I'll do it today.
and then
Yeah,
just holler at me if you need my input.
I guess the questions or concerns were clear for you, John and Greg.
Yeah, I understood what the questions are. Greg should understand what they are too.
Yeah, I get them.
So.
Yeah, I'm reading them right now. They're all very clear. I'll just get the answers and write them down and send them to you. John, I'll give you a call later on today to just make sure we have the answers right.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
And
Remember,
also, Greg,
keep,
yeah, please.
keep in mind that if the UB Sports site and mobile app need to be updated to support the changes to the way the trainer functionality is integrated, that's a second phase effort. It shouldn't necessarily require any changes in this first release unless there's a significant benefit value to making certain changes now.
Yeah, I got that. I was thinking more or less an add-on. So that's why I mentioned creation of special groups and all. So currently we have a structure for groups. So we will be completing the MVP with all the things that can be we can take from the existing website and all those stuff. So later when we go to the athletic or fitness trainer app, we will be adding more stuff to the app. So I don't think there won't be any major changes needed in the first phase. That's my thought.
Okay, a couple clarifications on that. Have you already built the the group development pages that are already existing? Have you already redone that onto the stuff you've built so far? You know, how you set up a group and what kind of groups are available and all that?
Yeah, yes. So the group creation pages and all those stuffs are actually done, where you can enter the name, description, Twitter widget, country, type, all those stuffs. So that process is actually done.
Are you able to build to have a single database for all the content, like from both the apps and the site, or are those going to be in separate databases?
No, the database is common actually, and the API is
Same
also
database.
Okay, that's good. And yeah, right now the way they have it set up is that the photos are in an older Amazon AWS account, and other stuff is being held on the current servers that we're using daily. So obviously it has to be all combined into one database on AWS when we get around to it. Cool. All right. Those are my questions really that were still irking me. So thank you.
yeah. So we were actually planning to put the images into the AWS account once you guys use the access to us. So that's our plan actually. That's what we do. So we'll get the URL and we'll throw the images in the app and that's it.
Good.
That's good, right? Or do you want it to be changed?
Have you done anything as far as setting up? This goes back to the site. So the you know, you guys, the setting up the main page for video. Is that still, you know, to us it's well, it's a challenge wherever you go. You can't really see a good video player page on YouTube for what we're trying to accomplish. And you know, you're gonna use JW Player, but we have to build the landscape around the player. So I don't think we've had that discussion yet, and that might be something we should dig into and to confirm as far as what we want to accomplish there.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
please.
Milan, go.
No,
Go ahead,
what I
Milan.
was saying was like we were facing some challenges with the embed code from different like sources. So the width and height was actually affecting in some places for websites as well as majorly in the mobile app. So we are trying to create a workaround for that and loading this uh, embed codes in a list is actually creating some uh, like freeze or lagging effect in the UI. So we are trying to overcome that also in the meanwhile.
One of
But
the ways they accomplish that in a couple of sites I've seen, and the one that we were planning on building was to actually transcode into have one video, but have it already transcoded in the database into HTML5 and MP4, so it's available for both the web and for the app, or for mobile in general, without having to transcode real time. And that seemed to be a good way to solve that problem. Although it loads up the database, it also makes it very fast or faster to get it onto the phone.
Yeah, I don't know that the videos themselves are going to be stored in the database, Greg. And there's actually, I believe, like 4 different formats for that you need the video in to support all your different devices.
Yeah, at least 3. Yeah.
You know, there's the MP4, there's OGV, and so there's a bunch, and it does make sense that when a video is uploaded, you do create the various versions that you need. However, when you're embedding a video, you can't really do that because you don't own that video. You don't have possession of that video. So that kind of thing typically would rely on the source to have already done that.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
like if you embed a YouTube video, YouTube is going to serve up the format that's needed for the device you're calling it from.
Yeah, I think they already do that. They already have it transcoded into a number. They have SD, HD, and mobile already transcoded, ready to go
Yeah.
on YouTube. So they're good.
Yeah, so for embedded videos, I mean, you're kind of beholden to whoever the provider is.
Right.
You know, so if somebody embeds a video, for example, from, you know, a smaller, not as professional site or something like that, it might not be transcoded. It might only be available in one format and it won't show up on your phone, for example, or something.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can't really control that. But on the videos that we control, that we upload to our server, you know, the database will hold a pointer to that video, but the video itself is not in the database.
Right. Of course. That's
and-
correct.
And it would be put into however many formats that we feel we need, which
Right.
is probably 3 or 4 different formats.
Yeah, exactly. So as long as we have those guys in the database, we're okay. But we don't have, right, we're not going to do anything as far as storing YouTube videos or anything like that. That's not our job. That's their job. Good. Okay. So let's, can we have that conversation sometime, maybe next week, this time we can do that, talk about the video page and how we're going to set up the player in that, on the video page for especially the web I'm concerned about.
Yeah, so for web part, we actually, what we had done is we had gone for 2 options. So there is a player which supports all the kind of URLs, like the famous one, like YouTube, Facebook, and some of the other ones. It's not a universal player or something. It's a React player which supports the URLs. So, but we can't actually implement that because since we are actually using the embed codes, right? So our developer was saying that there is one player available for the web version, but it's not available in the mobile version. I'm sorry. So, so we were actually discussing that whether we should stick on to the embed codes, and later we decided that we will actually stick on to the embed codes, and then rose this problem of width and height, so which we are actually dealing right now. So that's the place where we are in, but the videos and the players are working well. That's fine. But when the screen size is less and the embed code has a height and width which is much bigger than our screen size, then that raises the problem. So we need to have a workaround for that. That's
Actually, that was worked around on the site by my previous developer in Ruby on Rails. Apparently, they were able to adjust the part of the embed code that says height and width as it enters the database.
Yes. Because I actually checked the website and all the videos have a fixed size. So I was actually wanted to confirm that whether we can do that. But if I put a video from Facebook or some other platform, I don't know whether the format or the structure is different for that embed code. So if it's a YouTube.
I was surprised about Facebook. I embedded a video from Facebook last week, and actually it uses almost the exact same embed code that YouTube has, including the height and width parameters. So you should be able to adjust that as it comes into our code.
So
actually that's kind of coincidence.
Sorry?
That might be more coincidence though, Greg. I mean, if somebody has an odd format or an odd size, it may not fit the container that we've built.
True.
And if you try to adjust it or fit it into the container on our site, might look awkward.
Yeah, also it's the embed code is different from one video company to another. We've already accommodated Vimeo and YouTube, and apparently it seems like we accommodated Facebook since Facebook copied YouTube. So far those embed codes are working, but that's really all we have prepared for on the old site. So yeah, well, good luck with it. I hope you figure that out, guys, when you're working on that challenge.
Yeah, so we were thinking of manually handling all those scenarios or all those kind of stuff. So anyway, there's an option which you told that we can manually adjust the width and height for our requirement. That's possible. So we were just doing research on that. So I just mentioned that.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Okay.
I think that's all that we have to talk about. You guys have anything else?
Jabin, anything?
Greg, Greg, I just want to know your availability for tomorrow. Like we are planning a management call tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely.
Javed will be there. So the same time, 8 o'clock, will that be fine for you?
Let me check. That usually is pretty good for me. Hold on. I think I saved it for you too.
Good for him, unless he doesn't get out of bed.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I have a girlfriend. So, yeah, 8 o'clock's fine.
Okay, so I'll be scheduling a call by tomorrow, and maybe KP will join us because she's working on the SRS and she may have some doubts. So
That's
in
great.
that scenario, I think you'll be able to help her out.
Excellent.
Will John be available tomorrow? Because if there's some technical talks, so.
Cool. All right, guys. That's good. John, you
I
go
could
tomorrow,
be.
right?
I mean, if you need me tomorrow morning, Greg can text me and I'll jump on the call right when he texts me.
All right, cool.
Perfect.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
We're all
Okay,
good.
that's all from my end. Yes.
Okay.
Excellent.
Cool.
Thanks, guys. Good job.
Guys, have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you too. Good night.
Thanks. We'll be in touch later in the week.
Thank you, John. Thank you,
Bye.
Greg.
Okay, everyone, thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.